Once upon a time there lived a young girl named Stella who loved learning about space. Every night, Stella would gaze up at the stars from her bedroom window and dream about one day traveling into outer space. She read every book she could find about planets, stars, and constellations. Stella was especially fascinated by the planets in our solar system. She longed to visit each planet and discover its mysteries. One warm summer night, as Stella was studying her books and charts of the solar system, she noticed something strange moving across the night sky. It looked like a tiny, blinking light that kept darting back and forth among the stars. "That's curious," Stella whispered to herself as she watched the odd little light zip around the sky. She wondered if it could be a satellite, space station, or something more mysterious. Suddenly, the blinking light stopped right in front of Stella's window. She gasped as the light came closer, eventually taking the shape of a glittering spaceship no bigger than a coin. Stella couldn't believe her eyes. The tiny spaceship whizzed through the open window and began flying in loops around Stella's bedroom. That's when Stella noticed a small alien waving at her from inside the cockpit. "Greetings, Stella," said the alien in a squeaky, animated voice. "My name is Zoomer. I've traveled across many galaxies to find you." Stella pinched herself to make sure she wasn't dreaming. "You know my name? And you came from another galaxy just to find me?" she asked in astonishment. "But of course," said Zoomer. "I've heard all about your fascination with astronomy and your longing to visit other planets. That's why I'm here, to take you on a magical journey to learn about the planets in Earth's solar system." Stella could hardly contain her excitement. A real live alien wanted to take her on a tour of the planets. "Here, take this," said Zoomer, tossing a shiny pendant necklace to Stella. "As long as you wear this space pendant, you'll be able to breathe and move normally when we travel into space. Now, are you ready for an adventure?" "I'm ready," exclaimed Stella as she put on the pendant. It glowed softly as soon as she clasped it around her neck. Zoomer told Stella to grab onto the spaceship. As soon as she took hold, the ship surged upward and zoomed out through the window. Stella squeezed her eyes shut as the spaceship accelerated faster and faster. She felt the G-forces pressing her back, just like an astronaut launching into space. When Stella opened her eyes, she found herself gazing down at the beautiful blue Earth spinning below. The spaceship had made it into outer space. "Our first stop is the planet closest to the Sun, Mercury," announced Zoomer. The ship zoomed through space, getting closer and closer to the small, rocky planet. Soon they were soaring above the surface of Mercury. Stella was awestruck by the barren, crater-filled landscape. She learned from Zoomer that Mercury has almost no atmosphere, and alternates between extremely hot and extremely cold temperatures. She couldn't imagine anything surviving on such an inhospitable world. Their next stop was Venus, which Zoomer explained was similar in size to Earth. But as they descended through Venus' thick cloud layers, Stella could see the surface was dry and rocky, with no liquid water. Venus' atmosphere is 96% carbon dioxide, which creates a runaway greenhouse effect that heats its surface to almost 900 degrees Fahrenheit, said Zoomer. Stella was grateful for her protective pendant so she didn't roast instantly. After escaping Venus' scorching heat, Stella and Zoomer were off to Earth's moon. Stella was amazed by its rocky, cratered surface and the total lack of air and life. She playfully bounded across the surface in slow motion, enjoying the low gravity. Their next destination was Mars, the red planet. Stella hoped to find some trace of Martians, but instead found only red deserts, giant volcanoes, and craters everywhere. She learned that Mars does have polar ice caps and evidence of ancient rivers. Mars may have once been more Earth-like, with oceans and a thicker atmosphere, explained Zoomer. Stella imagined what that might have looked like. The ship sped on deeper into the solar system, soon coming to the giant planet Jupiter. Being made of gas, Jupiter didn't have a rocky surface to land on. But Stella and Zoomer descended into the turbulent cloud tops and got battered by 500-mile-per-hour winds. Stella also saw the Great Red Spot, a swirling storm bigger than Earth itself. She learned that Jupiter has over 60 moons, including the ice-covered worlds of Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Venturing further out, they came across Saturn, surrounded by its beautiful icy rings. Stella was awed by the gorgeous patterns and colors reflecting in the rings. She waved hello to Saturn's moons, like giant Titan, which has lakes and rivers of liquid methane on its surface. Swooping past cold, hazy Uranus, they came to Neptune, which appeared deep blue in color. Zoomer told Stella that Neptune has supersonic winds and raging storms, despite being so far from the sun. She was thankful their little ship kept them safe. At last, they arrived at the tiny, icy world of Pluto on the outer edges of the solar system. Pluto was long considered the smallest planet until 2006 when it was reclassified as a dwarf planet. Stella thought Pluto was still exciting to see up close. Stella was amazed by everything she had experienced during her journey through the solar system. She had seen so many incredible worlds up close. She thanked Zoomer for the magical adventure and new knowledge about the planets. After leaving Pluto behind, Zoomer's ship zoomed back toward Earth, rapidly passing the other planets again. Stella held on tight as they re-entered Earth's atmosphere and arrived back in her bedroom, coming to a gentle stop right by her window. Once upon a time there was a kind young boy named Tom who loved to learn. Every day after school, Tom would hurry home, grab a snack, and sit down to read his favorite books. He read about science, nature, history, and adventure. His mind was always racing with questions and he couldn't wait to discover more. One day, Tom was reading a book about knights and dragons when he came across a magical passage. The words on the page began to swirl and glow, and suddenly Tom felt himself being pulled into the pages. When he opened his eyes, he was standing in front of a towering castle. Tom couldn't believe it, he had been transported into his storybook. Just then, a wise old wizard appeared. "Welcome, Tom," said the wizard. "This is the Castle of Knowledge. I have brought you here because we need your help." The wizard went on to explain that the Castle of Knowledge had been attacked by the evil dragon of ignorance. The dragon had stolen all of the castle's magical books and scattered them across the kingdom. Without the books, the castle could no longer impart knowledge to anyone. Tom jumped up excitedly saying, "I'll get the books back." He had always dreamed of going on a quest. The wizard gave Tom a map and sent him on his way. Tom set off down a winding path, wondering what dangers awaited him. As Tom walked through the countryside, he admired the lush green meadows and forests. In the distance, he spotted a village. Tom headed toward the little cottages with their thatched roofs. He hoped the villagers might have seen some of the missing books. As Tom entered the village, he could smell delicious pies cooling on windowsills. Children were playing in the streets, and villagers were tending to the horses and sheep. Tom asked if anyone had come across magical books. "I found one yesterday," said a little girl. She ran and fetched a glittering red book for Tom. "Thank you," said Tom, tucking the book into his bag. With the help of the village girl's book, Tom was able to decipher a clue on his map. He ventured into the forest searching for the next book. The trail twisted and turned past mossy logs and bubbling streams. Tom heard leaves rustling and turned to find a baby unicorn. The unicorn whimpered, its leg caught in a thorny vine. Tom rushed over and freed the poor little unicorn. It nuzzled Tom's cheek to say thank you before prancing away into the woods. Underneath where the unicorn had been stuck, Tom discovered a magical blue book. "Two down, more to go," Tom said cheerfully. As the sun was setting, Tom came to a crystal-clear lake. A book lay at the edge of the water. As Tom reached for it, a green tentacle whipped out of the lake and grabbed the book. A giant octopus emerged, clutching the magical book in its suckers. It inked the water around Tom and swam toward the depths. Tom had to think fast. He saw a rowboat on shore and jumped in. As the octopus retreated into an underwater cave, Tom rowed with all his might to follow it. Inside the pitch-black cave, Tom lit a lantern. He could just make out the octopus and the book in the eerie glow. Tom rowed forward and grabbed the book from the octopus's tentacles. He rowed back out of the cave victoriously. Tom added the magical book to his collection. He was tired from his adventures, so he found a nice patch of clover under an apple tree to rest for the night. As Tom was falling asleep, he gazed at the starry night sky. A shooting star blazed overhead. Tom made a wish that he would find all of the missing magical books. The next morning, Tom packed up camp and continued on his quest. He came to a tall hill. At the top, Tom could see a crumbling stone tower. Thinking a book might be hidden inside, Tom made his way up the winding path. Inside the tower, it was dusty and full of cobwebs. Light streamed in through cracks in the stones. There were lots of places a book could be hiding. As Tom searched, he heard a rumbling growl. A fierce mountain troll lumbered out of the shadows. The troll tried to grab Tom, but he ducked out of the way. This troll wasn't going to give Tom his book easily. Tom had an idea. He saw a hole in the ceiling with a vine dangling down. Tom began climbing the vine with the troll in pursuit. Just as the troll grabbed at his feet, Tom swung out of the way. The troll yanked the vine in frustration and ended up bringing the whole ceiling down on top of himself. With the troll buried in rubble, Tom snatched up the magical book and got out of the tower. Now Tom had all but one of the missing magical books. According to the wizard's map, the last book was hidden at the peak of Fire Mountain. Tom crossed burning hot lava fields on his way to the volcano. He solved puzzles and overcame obstacles along the way. At last, Tom located the cracked mouth of the volcano. Down below, he could see the magical book on a rocky ledge, surrounded by bubbling molten lava. The air filled with smoke and ash. Tom knew this would be his most dangerous task yet. He found a narrow path along the rim. With careful steps, Tom worked his way down the volcano's side. He reached his hand out and closed his fingers around the final book just as the ledge collapsed into sizzling lava. Tom left Fire Mountain with all of the books now safely in his possession. He followed the map back to the Castle of Knowledge. The wizard greeted Tom happily. "You have defeated ignorance. You truly are the most valiant and clever young knight." Tom handed over the books, and the wizard used his magic to return them to their rightful places in the magnificent library. Suddenly, Tom found himself magically transported back to his own room, sitting in his comfortable chair. Had it all been a dream? Then Tom saw the little unicorn figurine on his desk, and knew his quest had been real. He had learned many things during his adventure, but most importantly, Tom learned that with bravery and perseverance, you can achieve anything. Once upon a time there was a magical school called Unicorn Academy. It was a place where young unicorns went to learn how to use their magical powers and discover their special talents. Nestled deep in an enchanted forest, Unicorn Academy was a towering castle with tall spires and glittering turrets. On the first day of school, a young unicorn named Starlight pranced nervously through the shimmering gates. She entered the grand hall, which was filled with busy unicorns of all colors and sizes. Some had pearly white coats while others had soft pastel colors like pink, blue, purple and green. Their manes flowed beautifully in the light breeze that drifted through the open windows. Starlight made her way to her first class, beginning flight. She was very excited but also anxious, since she hadn't yet learned how to use her wings to take flight. The instructor, Professor Highwing, taught the young unicorns the basics of aerodynamics and had them flap their wings to build up strength. "Now visualize yourself soaring high above the treetops," said Professor Highwing in a gentle voice. Closing her eyes, Starlight visualized herself flying gracefully through the clouds. She felt a tingling sensation in her wings and suddenly she was lifted off the ground. Flapping her wings steadily, she flew a loop around the training course. Starlight couldn't believe she was flying. The next class on Starlight's schedule was Magical Horn Techniques. This was the class she had been looking forward to the most. Professor Shimmerstone demonstrated how to channel magic through the horn to levitate objects. "With practice, you'll be able to lift even the heaviest objects with ease," she said. Starlight focused on levitating a feather. Her horn glowed faintly and the feather wobbled a bit, but soon it was soaring gracefully around the room. Next, Starlight tried levitating heavier objects, like books and boulders. It was hard work, but with guidance from Professor Shimmerstone, she got the hang of it. After classes, Starlight met up with her new friends Azura and Moonbeam. Azura was an elegant unicorn with a shiny aquamarine coat and a mane that flowed like ocean waves. Moonbeam had soft lavender fur speckled with stars and a cosmic purple mane. The three friends went to dinner in the dining hall, which was filled with delicious food on long wooden tables. "Try the starberry pie," said Moonbeam. The starberries were juicy and sweet with a hint of glittery magic. It was the perfect end to an exciting first day. Over the next few weeks, Starlight learned so many new magical abilities. In Charms class, she learned spells that could light fires, open locks, shrink objects, and more. In Potions class, she stirred bubbling concoctions that could give strength, speed, or invisibility. Her skills improved each day under the guidance of the talented professors. One day, the headmistress Madame Stardust announced a talent show would be held at the school. "This is your chance to showcase your most powerful magic," she told the students. Starlight knew right away she wanted to perform in the show. But what could her talent be? She didn't feel like she excelled at any one magical skill yet. Her friend Azura was graceful at flying and Moonbeam could create dazzling light shows with her horn. That night, Starlight wandered the school grounds thinking about what she could do for the show. As she walked under the moonlight, she heard a faint crying sound. In the distance, she saw a tiny unicorgi puppy with an injured paw. "You poor thing," said Starlight. Focusing deeply, she used her magic to surround the puppy with a warm glowing light. The puppy relaxed as its pain faded away. Starlight had discovered her talent, magical healing. For the next few weeks, Starlight practiced her healing magic to prepare for the talent show. The day of the show arrived and all the students gathered excitedly in the auditorium. One by one, the unicorns performed unique magic tricks to enthusiastic applause. Finally, it was Starlight's turn. She walked onto the stage and used her magic to create dazzling displays of light and color. Ponies oh'd and awed at the spectacle. Then Starlight brought out the now healthy unicorgi puppy and told the audience how she had healed it. With her horns glow, she demonstrated her healing magic. The crowd cheered wildly for her. At the end of the show, Madame Stardust awarded first prize to Starlight for her outstanding use of healing magic. "You have proven yourself to be a kind and caring unicorn," said the headmistress. Starlight beamed with pride. All her hard work had paid off. That night, the dining hall threw a magical celebration for the talent show winners. As fireworks burst over the castle, Starlight and her friends danced joyfully under the starry sky. She couldn't wait to see what more exciting adventures her days at Unicorn Academy would bring next.